Yeah, but anyway, nice that you could join me, and I'll see that. I guess we can start the interview.
Sure, thank you for the invite. It's an honor to be here on great company. So thank you for asking me to be part of it. Dope
Yeah,
project.
yeah. It's like I maybe mentioned to you, but I slipped into this to do like a blog spot, and one of the topics I would like to do is to uh, invite b-boys and poppers and lockers, dancers in the hip hop community to show the rest of the hip hop community that um, it's not only rap.
Hell yeah.
Uh, because many people, they sometimes forget that it's like a culture, and the culture is has many faces, many things. It's not only what you hear and maybe what you see in media. Lately here in Sweden, it was really a lot of talk that, hip hop is just gangsta mentality, um, and of course we want to present that there is something else.
Yeah, of course. And us growing up in the culture decades ago, it was different than it is today. Now people just see rap music on wherever and can relate. It's the biggest music, at least in my country right now. But then again, the people on the charts, they don't really care about the rest of the things. So
Oh,
once we got into it, I know I got into it a little bit later than you, but still it was a cultural thing right away. And it's funny, I was digging this like for my stash for magazines, found an old hip hop magazine. It's definitely all about all the elements and the culture at once. That was the experience that we got. So here's
yeah.
proof.
And I think it's we need to preserve that, because in my opinion, some many years earlier, but I got the whole package. And it's interesting to hear that you also got the whole package, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So our introduction was seeing B Street and Wild Style and Star Wars and seeing the lifestyle that was lived back in the days over there, and really just trying to dig deeper into it and have the full experience. So even over here in the interview that I saw on the magazine, I tell like, yeah, I started with breaking, but as soon as possible, I got my first turntable already in the 90s. And we tried to rap, never really worked out. Of course, we tried to rap in English because there was not really a thing of rapping in Finnish back then in the mid 90s when I got involved. I wish I had those tapes still. Would be so dope to remember and listen to my 11, 12-year-old English
Uh-huh. So
garbage rapping.
so yeah,
And a couple
so
of
now
graffiti every here and there, but those never really stick to me. Breaking was my thing mostly.
now we get into uh, why we interview you. Who are you beside Jussi?
Okay. Besides Jussi, some people know me as Focus of the Flowmo crew. I'm a hip hop head, a b-boy, a DJ, a person who lives this lifestyle to the max for the past 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Been through quite a lot, quite many battles. Nowadays, more judging, teaching workshops, touring, whatever. But still, dance is a passion that will always stay in my life. And even though it might not be a daily thing, and you gotta break 4 or 5 hours every single day these days, it's definitely still the lifestyle, and it's something that has a place in my heart forever.
Good. And how old are you? What age are you? When are you born?
I'm born in '83, so I'm turning 43 in a few weeks.
Okay. And your first experience, because when you're born in Finland, it just started. I guess some of the really oldest guys were just starting when you're born about. Uh, but of course, your first, what do you remember first from this culture?
Yeah, my first touch with the dance and the hip hop culture was springtime 1995. My sister used to give me all these cassettes of of different kind of music. Maybe there was some started off with Michael Jackson, but maybe there was a couple of tracks by Run DMC and whatever. But now, first time I really got to see and experience what it's about was me going into a disco for kids of school, and then the DJ was a breaker himself.
Okay.
So he would drop every now and then drop records that would make people react in a different way. And suddenly there's a circle on the floor, and somebody of the people that I look up to in school is spinning on their back and doing the worm. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? I didn't understand it at first. It was a little bit of a kind of like I would say maybe even a frightening thing to do, a scary thing. Like, what the hell is happening over here? That's aggressive, and the energy was mind blowing. But then again, my best friend at the time, he convinced me to take a class, to take part in a dance class that was going down. And keep in mind that I live in a small city, well, not even a city, a village called Muurame. We had 5,000 people at the time next to a bigger city called Jyväskylä. So this old school head called Mikko Algren from the Spiders crew, who got into breaking in 1984 as well. Then he was coming to my city from the bigger town every single week. The scene was dead. Nobody was breaking in the whole country. But this stubborn guy, Mikko, who was super inspirational and a great storyteller, he made a promise to himself that one day probably there's going to be a new scene, and he's going to do everything possible to reawake a scene like this. Everybody around him quit, so he's like, okay, if I'm here by myself, I might as well try to keep teaching. And he kept teaching as long as suddenly in our small village started to pop up things like people, like I said, 1, 2, 3 years older than me started to break, and they inspired me and everybody in my class. And little by little, we started training and formed our first crew. It's called Midpoint Rockers. That was somewhere from '97. And then with the help of Run DMCs like that, and even Bone Funk MCs, more and more people started to break. And suddenly, late '90s, there was mad crews in all the small towns as well. So going from a really dead scene in the mid '90s, early '90s, to having tens of crews in different cities all around the country, not just Helsinki, but all the way in the north, was pretty super quick and fascinating that it's happened so fast.
Yeah, it's really a new evolvement for, like you said, in very few years. I remember also Alex Renegade in Malmö, he said it to me 95, 96. You need to hop it on now because it's really like 84 again. It's everywhere. Everybody's want to dance again. It was really a craze that came late 90s.
Yeah,
Actually, when you said
wave,
yeah,
started
when you
really
say
quick.
95, it's funny because me, Jam One, Elvis, and a couple of more guys, we actually went to Finland to perform at the European, no, I think it was a World Championships of Snowboard.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of northern Finland or mid Finland somewhere in a ski resort.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we were there and performed. And there I met Alexander Gyllenbögel, I think it was.
Okay.
And also some other old school guys. But it's funny that that in that time it's almost bigger than Sweden then.
Really?
I mean
Think so?
that there is so many crews in all the small cities. Of course, that was also in Sweden a lot. And but this Midpoint Rockers, how long did that last? How many of you guys continued?
Midpoint started with about 8 to 10 people, something like this, back in '97, and most of the people was from the village that I mentioned, Muurame, and some was from Jyväskylä, the city next to it. And then life caught up, so few people started going different directions, started businesses, families, went to the army, got interested in other things besides the dance too. So kind of crew started to fall apart. And then 2002 was the year. No, 2000 was the year that we first started to dance together with this crew called Savage Feet from Helsinki that you see in some of the Bon Funk MC's music videos.
Yes.
And they started to have kind of the same situation, that they were big crew, but little by little, people started to grow up and do other things. So both crews were in a situation that we are really hungry. The people who's left, we are really hungry and want to make it also not just in the country, but also international. So 2000, we traveled to Sweden together for the first time for Scandinavian Battle of the Year. We joined, bam, there you go. We joined that competition battle, and we were under the name of IMR, which was Illmatic Midpoint Rockers. Savage Feet was already kind of falling apart, and they didn't really want to use the name because there was some drama. So they used their old name called Illmatic. But we were called IMR, Illmatic Midpoint Rockers. And we somehow managed to be like the third place and got the best show award. So we're like, oh shit, this is actually working. A dream come true. We're meeting our heroes. We're seeing you guys. We're seeing Freeze kill it on the floor, and Elvis and Pablo and everybody. And then Out of Control with Steen and Wildcat showed up, and we're like, wow, this is crazy. So that just really ignited our passion and a fire. We started doing more work together, and 2 years later, we decided that we need to form a new crew called Flomo. Back in April 22nd, I believe, 2002, we had a meeting and joined forces, came up with the name.
Okay, so it's because what I remember, what I also painted out here, this is actually in 2000. I think it's 2002, but it can be also 2003. This you were invited to do Flomo, Shadow Dwellers, and that was really early in Flomo history then.
That was super early, yes. Of Shadow Dwellers, we already had done a couple of theater pieces on our own, and Shadow Dwellers was the first piece that we did as Flomo. So that was done in 2002 at Kiasma in Helsinki, Contemporary Art Museum. And then the year after, we rocked it in Stockholm.
But it was really early then. I mean but of course, all of you already had 5, 6, 7 years experience with different other crews, and then you had a goal, all of you together, to form this big, but it became later like the famous Scandinavian or Nordic crew. So you already had the mentality of it.
Yeah, and it was like really collecting the people who had the same mentality, because to make it out the country, of course, you need to have a lot of hunger and a lot of passion for it. You need to make a lot of sacrifices to make it happen. And you have crazy people like that surrounding you, even better.
And Jyväskylä, how far away from Helsinki is that?
It's about 3 hours by car or train. Okay. So it was really a crew between two cities, Helsinki and Jyväskylä, split in half. And then little by little, the active members started to move to Helsinki. And also I moved to Helsinki 2006.
Oh, so you traveled those years, you traveled all time back and forth.
Yes, I was always on trains and automobiles, and I would come to Sweden with the ferry almost once a month for getting inspired by your jams and your scene that was really active and alive those years. More, I feel if you say that Finland was active, we felt that Sweden was more active, so we would have to go to Sweden to get inspiration and knowledge and education and like that. So I was on the trains all the way, all the time back to Helsinki and back. And when we come on travels, everybody else from the Helsinki side stayed. They're complaining like, I need to take a 15-minute bus. I really don't want to do it. I'm like,
yeah.
If y'all, I got 3.5 hours to go.
But do you think that affected you to be even more into it? That you come really from a small town? Did you reflect on that you didn't have everything served on a golden plate?
I guess it does. You had to work. In general, we had to work harder for our knowledge and inspiration back then than people need these days. So somehow maybe that created more more love for it, I could say. And then I don't know, being from a small place, maybe that didn't affect that, but we didn't have much to do except for break. So after I was done with school, I stayed on the hallways, I stayed on the auditorium everywhere. Simply go to school, break, sleep, go to school, break, sleep. That was my life for a lot of years.
But and those ages, you're born 83, so you're around like 15, 16, 17 and up to 20.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Were you into anything else before you started breaking?
Before breaking, I tried everything. Yeah, I would play piano, I would go fishing with my dad. Snowboarding was a big thing until it started to get too crazy, so I would fall pretty bad from the box jumps and everything for a few
Ah,
times. This is too wild. So luckily, breaking kept me closer to the ground, so I didn't get much.
yeah. Couldn't
But yeah, I
hurt
tried
that much.
everything. Finnish baseball, pesäpallo would have been a big thing. Like I have a couple of famous baseball players in my family. I have it
Oh,
in my blood, so I was that was a sport that I was great at. I loved it. But then my small city, we had a big team, but somehow our age group they had to cut funding, so my age group had to quit. I
mhm.
would have played with the adults, or I had to quit. So luckily, I found breaking, and well, I don't know what my life would have been like as a professional Finnish baseball player.
No, of course. Baseball in Finland, I guess it's not like US. I
Nope, it's a
didn't
big thing, but it's definitely not the US. Nope.
I didn't know that Finland had such a like a thing for baseball. We don't have it in Sweden, so
Really? Okay.
yeah.
We have a little bit of different way of making it. We call it pesäpallo. So instead of running in circle like they do in the US, we have this
Okay.
different kind of arrangement and setup.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's a big thing. Like all the small cities have their own teams and
Okay.
fan base and everything.
So there is really a league for it, and yeah, you follow
Absolutely.
it. Oh, interesting. All right, but then focus, that name. Do you remember where it comes from, or where it came from?
Sure. It was around the same time as we formed the crew, a little bit later, actually. Was dope to see this old magazine interview that I just dug up. It was still saying Jussi from Midpoint Rockers, which is my first name. So a couple of trips I tried to do under the name of Jussi, and I got to Sweden, and they're like, Jussi, what is this? And I'm like, okay, that might not work. So of course, b-boy coming up, you need a name, you need an artist name, so people can remember you outside of your circles too. So I tried a few different ones, nothing really worked and stuck. I was getting into photography at the time, which has a concept of the focus point. So you have the lens, all the rays of light are coming through, and somehow they gather into the focus point. I wanted to be the focus point of breaking, so I would have my top rocks, footwork, power, freeze, musicality, execution, everything in one um, one expression. So I really liked the name, but I didn't take it yet. Once we formed the crew, April 2002 with the meeting, we had like a name contest. Everybody came up with their different names. Antopio suggested Cipher Spirit, and we're like, okay, Cipher, what is a cipher? Cipher wasn't a popular term back then yet. We were speaking about circles. So he kind of had to explain, like, cipher is the same thing as a circle, you know? And we're like, okay. Too abstract, not going for it. And then I suggested, like, wait a minute, I kind of like the idea of the focus point. Let's call ourselves Focus Crew. And everybody was like, not digging it, too abstract. I'm like, okay, well, I might just keep the name for myself then. If nobody else dig it, I might go with it myself. And then Mikko Vortex, he came up with the name. The last suggestion of all the things was Flow Motion B-Boy Crew. Other people break in slow motion, but we have a dope flow every time we break. So in short, flow mo. And everybody was like, okay, that kind of clicks, that works. So I kept focus for myself, and we took flow mo for the crew.
But yeah, it's dope names actually now, both of them. It's when you have the history, It's really, yeah, it's a mind-blowing thing that you really had a thought of it that much. And who was in, now you mentioned Topi, who else was, and also you mentioned Mikko. Well, they were also part from the beginning in Flomo, and who
Yeah.
else?
So, like I said, half and half Helsinki Vascular from my town, old midpoint rockers people. We had me, we had Noisy One, aka Juuso, we had Jani Salonen, whose breaking name was Originate, and then Pasi. So it was 4 people from my town, or from Muromet, the small village.
Yeah, funny.
And then Helsinki people was Antopio, Taija, aka T-Flow, Mikko, and Animal Janne, who was also known as Niro or Twister back in the days. He would change his name all the time, so he maybe got known as Twister, and you can see him in some of the music videos too.
But when I remember, you were not that many what I remember from Shadow Dwellers, and maybe also sometimes when you come to the jams. Didn't everyone go for everything, or how was the setup in the beginning?
Shadow Dwellers was just the Murame people and Mikko on top. He joined the crew. We made the piece for Kiasma with just the Murame people, which was 4 dancers, and then Mikko joined up for the Sweden edition.
Okay. Yeah.
And then somehow, yeah, maybe Helsinki people are so busy with their lives in a big city that it's harder to get everybody together and go for travel together somehow. But we did a lot of travels with the whole posse as well. So if you see us in big battles like Freestyle Session, Europe or USA, then
Most of them, yeah.
the people was there, yes.
And how was the development in the crew? Did you have specific fields that, okay, I'm good with power, I'm good with flow, and also Topi doing mostly popping different. Did you have your fields, or was it really that defined, or did everyone did everything?
Well, Antopia was definitely more concentrated on the top styles. He was more doing popping, a little bit of locking, and later pretty much everybody else was trying to be complete with a foundational approach. And that is maybe something that separated us from like Central European crews. You would have more power heads in Central European approach, but also everybody had their different role in a way. That you had the power head of the crew, you had the style head of the crew, but we were more like everybody was more into foundation and into trying to be complete, but with the foundational approach. It was more like the philosophy of the whole crew. And then we would even travel to events with mad blow up heads and power heads and bring like a big sign that said footwork as art form, motion as identity, which was more like a theme for the whole posse and like a slogan that we lived by. So you can see this famous battle when we battle in Freestyle Session Europe final against Pokemon from France, really on the top of France scene, really on the different side of the spectrum, all blow-ups and all power. And then young Lilu comes in, walks in, and he rips the sign in half and throws the pieces everywhere. And it was almost a fight. You can check the battle on YouTube. I uploaded it because nobody ever did.
That's I think it's amazing stories, because in that time, what year is that? Do you remember? 2005, 6?
2004.
4, even
Yeah.
4. Because in that years, 4 until maybe 5, 6, 8, I don't know. Like you said, a lot of those blow-ups and crazy moves, not so much flow, but it was really exploding. And you're supposed to do that type of breaking, and you really came as something completely different. And it's interesting to really have that in mind now, 20 years later, because now we will come to that. The breaking scene is totally different now. But in that time, it was really that they got so much exposure, those blow-ups all over the world for all the competitions, Battle of the Year and freestyle sessions and because they just did those crazy blow-ups moves.
Yeah,
And you
so,
really kept it, you really tried to keep it a total other way. And I'm interested to hear why, how come that you really thought of it like that?
yeah,
What
that's a good
what does
question.
that mentality comes from?
That must be because of the isolation too. Like our inspiration came straight from New York. It was the Beast Free Star Wars Wild Style era. Later, like fresh as kids and all of this. So, of course, we was influenced by everything, but really our foundation was the '80s New York. That was our approach. And somehow, like once air moves became popularized, late '90s, early 2000s, that blew up really, really big, and everybody wanted to do it because of the big stage competitions, like you said. It looked great on the stage. People went crazy if they saw 10 air flares for the first time in their life. So I felt a lot of the European countries really, really hopped on that bandwagon, but somehow we are stuck in the north. We don't really care about that too much. We just studied B Street, Star Wars, Wild Style, and really that became our foundation. And then when we would travel, we wouldn't go to Central Europe that much. We would travel to Sweden, which also had the same kind of approach in
Mentality, yeah.
the 80s. Yeah, and we got inspired by seeing crews like the Throwdown and Moves Per Minute, Atomic B-Boys from Norway, and everybody. So that really somehow we lived in a small bubble in north of Europe, and then things started to collide when we started to travel a little bit outside. So that battle I mentioned in Freestyle Session Europe was a great example of the styles colliding and the clash of different approaches when a foundational crew from north meets up with the blow up crew from France, and then really up to the judges what is the next popular thing. So we battled our way all the way to the final in the event Freestyle Session Europe. Heated battle, and the winner gets flown out to Japan for the first time for the world finals to be over there. Of course, we really wanted to be in Japan and make everything, because we never went except for Topi on Topio. Since he was half Japanese, he would go back and forth. So we battled really, really hard all the way to the final. Final battle was super heated. Clash of styles, almost ended up in a fight. And then we had 3 judges, and the votes was 1 against 2 for Pokemon. So we lost by 1 vote. Our trip to Japan, of course, we got pissed, and everybody was mad at the judges except for Pervez, who voted for us. And then I remember, like a decade later, even Elvis from Sweden, who saw the battle and got pissed about the results. And when he would see the other judges, he would go and say, "There goes the judges who can't judge." A decade later. So really stuck into
Yeah, but it's for us who lived that era and saw that. Of course, it's not easy to judge. You know, it's always like you have a good execution, but totally different styles, and then it's really what direction do you want breaking or b-boying or this street dance go to? What direction is it? And and this is something that goes on and on all the time. Uh, I saw a popping battle just like 3 weeks ago, and some 2 totally different styles, and then it's more which direction do you want the dance to go towards,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that is more important than actually how is the battle. And I think you need to have a mentality for you need to have a strength in yourself as a judge to really believe in what you think the dance should go, in what direction should it go.
Yeah, and eventually nobody remembers the winners, but people remember the impact that you give and make.
Yeah.
And of course, frustration is the best fuel for for anything. So we got frustrated from this, and we're like, if we're not going to Japan, then we're gonna work our ass off and buy our tickets to get to the finals in USA. And the same year, we ended up battling in freestyle session, the legendary one that went down at the boat, the Queen Mary.
Yes.
And first battle that we end up doing is against Rocksteady, and the lineup in 2004 of Rocksteady was really ridiculous. They had all the Miami heads, the newer generation like Flea and Legacy, Technique and Venom and everybody, and then the old heads. So we would see Easy Rock and Crazy Legs against us on the other side of the dance floor, and we're like, wow, this is our first battle in the States, and this is the first crew that we meet. Same people that we see on the movies, and we're mind blown. But we didn't hold back. We gave it everything and we had, and eventually it was an elimination round. Out of 80 crews, we ended up battling Rocksteady in the first round, and both crews went through. So there was never an official winner of the battle, and it's still left undecided ever since.
But yeah, the names, the people that you mentioned, they're all famous. So I mean, it of course it's a little bit ridiculous when you talk about it now. It's like, wow, what a legendary setup. Also from their part, I mean, if you have like it's like an all-star crew from US
Yeah,
versus the Jyväskylä guys together with Helsinki.
yeah, exactly. And already by 2004, we had new members in the crew. Ata was part of the crew already, so he was battling with us. And then often once we traveled, Freeze and Jan One joined us as well. So they were both part of the battle as well. Even though you see Flomo in the DVD, Freeze and Jan One was part of the lineup in the event. So that was dope. Of course, we felt honored because they have inspired us, and they're an older generation than us. So it was dope to have them part of some of the battles that we did. And yeah, such a crazy experience, and that started a big rivalry between them as well. Because I heard people like Alienness came up to us and say like, "Yo, you guys beat Rocksteady at their own game," and we're like, "Oh shit." But there was two winners in that day, so for the following years, we ended up battling Rocksteady at most of the events that we went to, whether it was in Europe or
Yeah,
USA, and sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. Big
yeah.
wins, events like the Circle Kings the year after in Switzerland when we had solo battled Technique and Luigi, and first time we end up winning against Rocksteady. And in general, like if that time if there was a crew from USA that came into Europe, they would basically win because of the name and
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
part of being an
Legendary
American group getting legendary status being flown out. So
yeah,
that was
yeah.
really a first time it happened. Like we're like, fuck man, we against Rocksteady in the final. We actually ended up winning. People in Finland, they would not believe us when we sent them a message or called them like, yo, we just beat Rocksteady in the final. And the answer from the crew was like, get the fuck out of here, you shing us.
Did you in that time, those years, 3, 4, 5, 6, did you have also mentality issues that we also need to change up our game uh, to have more blow up moves and be more power? Or was it really that now we have our thing, we stick to what we have? What was it, um, contradictory in the crew, so to say, that some
Mm.
people want to do more of this and some want to do more of that?
We absolutely had a definite tunnel vision of how we want to do it and sticking to it. Maybe because it was embedded in the name of the crew, flow motion. We always concentrate on the flow, and we had the slogans and the signs and everything. So it was a big thing to follow our own style and our own vision and believe in this. We did not want to do any compromises back then and still today.
That's it's interesting to hear actually that there is a mentality thing that and that you really stick to it. I think it's nice to hear. I actually had a talk yesterday with Slow Motion Facts.
Mm?
You know him? And he also, from the beginning, he just said, I do what I do, and if there is something else happening on the dance floor, I go in and do totally opposite. And then,
Mm-hmm.
of course, you cannot really judge it because it's two different things. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think it's interesting to really switch the game, because this is what you also did. And if there is 10 crews and they all have this crazy power and crazy blow up, and then you come and just show this total other style with flow, then you stick out for
That
sure.
is true. That is true. And I do believe that part of the reason why we were so confident about our style too was that judging was not as developed and as transparent as it is today. Now all the like what you're looking for in a judging system or approach is already laid out these days. Like this is what you need to do to win.
Oh,
But
yeah.
back then there was no transparency or no somehow like general coherence. Nobody had an idea what the next person is going to judge for. So might as well just stick to your own style, hope for the best, because
Yeah.
you had no idea of the outcome.
No, and maybe also winning is not the most important. I
Yeah,
mean,
true. But if you came second, you were pissed, so maybe it was.
yeah, of course. And then now you talk about a lot of battling. This was the mentality of the crew in those years, because you started in doing shows and things like that. And some of the guys, you said they come also Savage Feet. Some of them come from Boom Funk MCs. And Boom Funk MCs, they did videos and did shows. We actually performed together with them
Mm,
for the new, MTV European Awards.
mm,
Uh, and so you, a lot of the guys, also you had a background of doing stage shows and performances and such. Did that fell away, or was that also a part of the story on the side, beside the battles?
Well, main attention was always battles, ciphers, and competitions. But then again, of course, as a breaker, if you get opportunities on different fields, you want to take them, especially if you want to break for living. Then any
Yeah.
opportunity is welcome. So we got into doing theaters slightly as well. There was a big festival called URB Herb in Kiasma Museum in Helsinki that was a combination of hip hop culture and theater world, and that brought they embraced us and took us in with open arms. So we would do a new piece every single summer. Most of the time we spent summers locked in the studio preparing for a new piece. But what we didn't have that we should have learned from you guys is to hire a manager to get more shows. We saw moves per minute doing mad shows, mad tours, and we was like, wow, how's that gonna work? How's that possible? We prepare for 2 months for a new performance, new show, new piece, and then maybe perform it once or twice after that. But we never found
Yeah.
a manager who could rock tours with us.
And
But
in
definitely,
Finland,
but I would say that we learn from all the sides of the dance too. And like some later on, I've gotten props for being able to, when I battle in a competition, to be able to engage with the audience too, and gather the energy of the audience, like somehow have attention into all the different aspects. And that comes from rocking shows with Bone Funk MCs and doing performances in theater and everywhere. So I guess everything feeds, everything is one. Like if you rock shows for 10, 20, 30,000 people, crazy festival audiences with the band, then you need to get them hype. But then
yeah.
again, in a competition, if you go into the floor and you need to win the audience on your side and the judges too, then that experience from festivals really helps you.
Yeah, yeah. It's not only the moves. It's you need to be present and feel the energy and use the energy to the solo you have.
Absolutely, yeah. And that for that, doing shows is the best teacher.
Yeah.
Doing
Yeah.
street shows, doing festival shows, performing with other artists. And I gotta give it up to Bonfunk MCs for embracing the dancers, not putting them in the back, but really making them part of the show. I just did my last show last Friday, so a couple of days ago with them. And then we have a few more shows left of this tour. 2003, I think, was the year when I joined the tour, once people started to go the other way. So original Bonfunk MCs dancers, look at the videos. There's Taya is there, Antopio is there, Mikko Vortex is there, Twister is there, Big Pete, Hypnotic is there as well. And then once there was more space on the lineup, then I joined in 2003. Went for hiatus for like 15 years, and then made a couple of comeback tours during the last years. So we're on a tour right now.
Wow. Yeah.
Those left. Yep.
So many years with them, actually. That's it. But it's funny that they got such a breakthrough and they still can do it, and that they also, like you said, bring some dancers with them.
Yeah, their impact has been huge. I still get messages from when I post a photo from a show with the band. I still get messages from people that we started because of Freestyler music video, Art Rockin' Beats.
Yeah.
And their impact was huge, alongside with Run DMC, of course. And it's crazy, hard to think that these days there could be one or two music videos that really start a new wave of an cultural impact, like they did.
Not the Super Electric video, because I'm there.
I didn't mention that one. Yep, of course that one.
Of course.
And then Up Rockin' Beats remix, which has Pablo and Freeze and Jan One from Sweden too. I think Freeze directed the video for the remix. We're stoked to see them being part.
Yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, that's also part of the story of the Finnish scene. And now you mentioned battles with the crew. How long have you done that with the crew, really? How long did it went until which year?
I started first competition that popped up. We didn't have organized battles in the 90s. So I started in 1995, but there was no events until 99. So for the first years, I would mostly break in hip hop parties and rap concerts. Whenever there was a hip hop party, all the elements gathered in the same place. There was cypher on the floor, MCs on the stage, writers tagging up the walls, and the DJs, of course, keeping up the whole event. So that was the first introduction to the dance. And then the first organized competition was an event called Helsinki Battle that came in 1999, December, in Helsinki. A promoter called Cool Ski, a DJ and a promoter, threw it and made it happen. And then I would do organized competitions. I would battle until 2019, when I was like, I'm done with this. So 24 years, I guess.
But this is when you talk about more your solo career, so to say, or?
The crew battles we would do until 2012, 2013-ish.
Okay.
So quite a long time, yes.
When you talk about those early days, were you also at the Telia Superjam?
I was there, yes. Telia Superjam that went down in Helsinki, big arena. We had different national teams. So there was a Finland team, Sweden team, Norway, and Denmark. That was maybe 2002 might have been the year.
I think 2001. I think
2001. Yeah. I was there.
The thing is, because that's the idea came for this Super Jam that I held in Vitabergsparken in Stockholm.
Absolutely.
Because the idea Super Jam, and then bring the different crews, and then in the beginning it was the Scandinavian crews or the Scandinavian national team, so to say. But then, like you probably you were there, we brought top 9, and we brought the guys from Estonia and Polish guys, and different crews from different countries.
Yeah, it was wild times. Shout out to Alex from Electrodynamics crew, who was making many events, and somehow he had a vision of renting out Hartwall Arena, so a big arena, a concert arena that fits like tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he made it happen. Like we want to throw an event over there with all the national teams from different countries, and Curtis Blow rapping, and it's wild.
Yeah,
So
that's right. That's where I met Curtis Blow. That's true.
wow. Shout out to Alex for making it happen. That's a vision right there. That's
Yeah, yeah.
be hard to imagine making happen today.
Yeah, in Finland, yeah, of course. But and Battle of the Year, it's like a crew competition where you also participating there.
We always try to make it to Battle of the Year. So uh Battle of the Year tapes, super influential for us. That was the first introduction to a live scene in Europe. So I'm watching Viva Music Channel, and suddenly there's a report at this rap show called the World Cup. There's a report from Battle of the Year '97. And I'm like, wow, breaking this alive, because we knew only about B Street, Wild Style, and Star Wars. We knew the scene from the '80s, and of course, time with before social media, we had no connection. We had no WhatsApp or Instagram or Facebook to message the guys in Sweden because we didn't know there's an active scene. So suddenly there is a report from Balladia '97. I see Style Elements against Southside Rockers in the finals. I'm like, wow, this still is still active. There's breakers outside of my small village too. I need to make it big. So of course that was super influential, and we always wanted to battle in Battle of the Year because of the first influence they had, but we never made it out. Sweden, Scandinavian Battle of the Year, we made the third place. Nasty Nine, which is Moves Per Minute, and Atomic B-Boys got flown out to Battle of the Year. So again, we're watching the tape. We battle in Denmark, in Copenhagen the year after. Didn't work. I think we got the third place. We battle in Oslo for Scandinavian Battle of the Year. We didn't make it through to the battles. So we gave up after three years of trying to make it. We never made it on the big stage, but luckily I got invited as a judge 15 years later. So I'm like, yes, I'm here.
Yes.
Standing there on that stage with a Flomo jacket on, I'm looking at the 10,000 people in Braunschweig. I'm like, yes, this is a dream come true.
Yeah, yeah. It's of course it's a big event, but it's also, now you mention it just briefly. It is also an event on a big stage with a lot of crowd, and maybe the style of flow mo and also the mindset of flow motion crew. It's
Mm-hmm.
not really a big stage crew.
So
I
maybe it's a
mean,
good thing women never made it. Again, the frustration gives fuel for anything else. So losing every single battle out there gave us more passion to go for the next one.
yeah, yeah, and also go for other events, which is
Absolutely.
more suitable for the crew, and
Yep.
maybe also more foundational in the spirit. It's not, the spirit is not 10,000 normal people. It's maybe 1,000, which is really hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
But every time still, like 2000 was the year when I also traveled to Germany just to experience and watch. And going to the pre-party and seeing Storm kill it in the ciphers was a mind-blowing thing too. So it's not always about the stage and the event, but the side events that go down
yeah, yeah,
alongside with it. The pre-parties and the after parties and all the people you meet and the way that you rock over there too.
yeah.
Same time.
Now we come in a little bit more. You mentioned it that you went for judging Battle of the Year as a solo judge. Of course, you're a judge yourself. Beside the Flomo, you always had also like a private career. And did you also do battles alone, like solo
Did a lot of
battles?
battles, solo battles as well. So every single battle, no matter if it was crew, 2-on-2, 1-on-1, Bonnie and Clyde, everything, me and we always went. So I did a lot of solo battles too, and somehow ended up doing a lot of footwork battles as well. It's funny that when I started to travel to Sweden, I would get props for my first, when I traveled to Helsinki, I get props for my power, and they say your power is dope, you see, but you need to work on your footwork. I go back to the lab and I like work on my footwork. Then when I go to Sweden, they say your footwork is dope, but you need to work on your tops. So I go back to the lab and I work on my tops. And then suddenly I started getting some opportunities to do a few footwork battles. And then I ended up winning quite a few as well. So I would do the IBE footwork battles every year, and ended up winning it 3 times in a row.
Wow.
Which got me an honor to have the IBE footwork battle named after me for a few years. Tyrone, the organizer, he told me like, okay, so dope that you come out every year and you always win. So we want to honor your contribution in a way that we want to call it the Focus on Footwork Battle. And he's like, we could give you a little bit of extra prize money, but there's things that maybe have more value, and just have the battle carry your name, which was of course super dope and
Yes.
inspirational.
Yeah, that's also like something to have like in your CV, so to say, that you have done that.
Yeah,
You have
absolutely.
achieved that.
Yep.
And that maybe put also you more on a like a star status from the rest of the crew, or did you feel it in the crew that you popped out more than others, or
Well, I did get a lot of opportunities, maybe for winning some solo competitions too, and then such. And I always wanted to be like my teacher, like Mikko, who taught me, and who told me back in the days that the greatest achievement for a teacher is to have his students do better than him. So that was the mentality that I really wanted to pass on as well. I wanted to be like him, to be able to inspire other dancers to reach heights. So every time I would travel, I would also ask like, can I rock a workshop? And that way I got some rep as a person who teaches too. So little by little, I was teaching everywhere I went, and that was something that eventually got me to maybe being flown out for a workshop tour in Taiwan or Malaysia or China, which
wow.
has been crazy experiences too. And it's been
Yeah.
like a different approach as well. It's been dope to rock ciphers and do competitions and battles, but then sharing and learning more from the journey as I share has been a whole other part of the career, I would say.
Yeah. And what was there a jealousy in the crew that you got those opportunities beside the others?
I wouldn't say there was jealousy in the crew. Yeah, I wouldn't say there was jealousy in the crew. I would say the crew was happy that people were getting their shine. And
Yeah.
every time I got a chance, of course, I repped the crew as well. I never went as focused. I always went as focused flow mode. So always bringing the crew with me everywhere I went, and then if there was any chance to bring other crew members, then always got everybody flown out.
You mentioned a couple of other guys that later on or at the same time they formed this ghost crew
Mm.
and got some fame because they travel around and do battles also. Uh, and I guess you were also part of it for a while, but you stepped out and stepped back to Flomo. Um, what is the story behind that?
Yeah. So like I said, Freeze and Jam One was battling a lot with us in the early years of the crew. Often because we didn't have enough people as well, and of course we respected them, so we asked for a few more to join. Then we connected really well, even though of course we had a lot of respect for the older generation. And then Freeze had a vision of the Ghost Crew at the time of there wasn't too much spotlight in the north of Europe. Everybody else on the big stages was getting the big shine, and then Freeze wanted to get more shine for the dope breakers that we had in the north. So he formed the Ghost Crew and asked me and Taya to be part of it. Had Solo was battling a lot there as well. Atta, of course, became famous for a Ghost Crew member too. And then trying to juggle between two crews, which also Freeze told me in the beginning, Ghost Crew is not really a crew; it's more of a project to get more shine to the north. So that's why I accepted it and took part of it too. But I really felt that Flomo was my crew and my family in the long term. So juggling between the two was kind of difficult. And sometimes when we went with Ghost Crew, and me and Hat Solo ended up battling as Flomo still, and that was a hard mix. So I'm like, okay, I appreciate what you do. I love you guys, but I need to step back and concentrate on my own.
Yeah. That was interesting to hear that that's what's behind it, and you cannot always go ahead. Maybe sometimes you also need to sit back and say, what do I have is what is most precious for
Yeah,
me.
absolutely. And it's a combination of different things. Like I was just part of another Swedish crew called Beef Noodles for a short time. I need to give a
Oh,
shout
that's
out
right.
to Wake, all the way up in Umeå back in the days. And I would travel to Umeå all the time, and he would teach me everything that he knew. And he was a big inspiration for me too. So it's of course like a career or your success is a combination of all the people involved and all the projects you are involved with as well. No man's an island, like you would say.
That's true. Um, Nowadays, you mentioned that you were judging by Battle of the Year. Was that the really biggest event that you judged, or you've been around? I mean, I guess you've been also to BC1 and different other solo competitions.
Yeah, I judge all of them. BC1, Freestyle Session, R16. Just the Bull, they had a Top Rock battle once as well for a few years, and I judged that one too. So I did all the big events as a judge too. And it's been a trip. It's been crazy. I'm thankful for people trusting my vision of the dance, which has sometimes been surprising too, to be trusted for a foundational approach on a big stage like Battle of the Year, for example. So
Yeah.
it's been really dope, and I've learned a lot ever since. Yep.
Mhm. You mentioned also the judging system. Um, what do you say is the difference from the early days when you judged without the judging system and maybe I don't know when is the last judging you did. Was it with some kind of a system then?
What's the last judging I did? I was in Mexico last month. Really traditional event, simply just gathering people and having a lot of fun time together from all around
Together
the world.
with Storm there.
Storm was there too, yeah. Storm was
Ah,
there too. And during the journey, I've felt I've built with a lot of experienced judges. I value and appreciate everybody's approach. I had to say I like judges systems because sometimes they give me a way to break down why I judge the way that I judge. So they never influenced my decisions, but give me tools in order to break down why I see it the way that I see it. And I use all of them. I did all the trainings for all the systems too. A lot of people got pissed, like you need to be certified to judge with this system. I'm like, okay, I want to learn the way it works so I understand it better. So I did like the Olympic level trainings and I did tribune trainings and everything. And at the time I was coaching my country's team for the Olympics too. So I'm like, if nobody else is gonna do the trainings, I need to do the trainings so that I can break them down for the people
mm,
who want to be part of the big competitions too. So I'm always an open mind and I want to learn and understand why people work in a certain way, and then maybe learn a thing or two in the process.
yeah. Do you think that the B-boys nowadays they need to know about how the system and the judging system works so they can score more points? Is it valuable also for the B-boys nowadays?
Now it depends on what do you want to achieve. If you want to be an ill cyper cat, then there's no use spending time. Just do you and do you as good as possible. If you want to win the Olympics, then it's foolish for not reading the rule book. I'm coaching national teams and I ask like the rule book is out, is explaining how judging is done at the Olympics. How many people over here read it? Nobody raises their hand. I'm like, yo, I'm the coach. Why did I read it? Why not you guys? Like go into the world championships of football and ask them like, do you know the rules of the game? Of course they know the rules of the game. That's the way it works. So of course it's a new development that is still kind of different from the past and awkward for some people, but choose your game that you play. Like if you want to win Red Bull BC1 or if you want to win the Olympics, then information is out there. And if you're not studying, you're just being lazy, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do you see in all the new competitions the last 15 years or maybe even longer? It's been a development of the music, that it goes first. It went really to syncopatic, the same type of music. Maybe it's changed the last 5 6 years, I don't know, a little bit better than before, but the music really has a impact of how the dance look like nowadays. What do you say? What do you say about that?
Huge impact, absolutely. And of course, it goes has developed a lot. I'm happy that even though the troubles with live streaming influenced the music heavily, which changed into being quickly produced so that people can save on the royalty monies, which can be a lot. People don't understand. Like if you want to play James Brown at a world championship level event, then it can cost you thousands or tens of thousands easily. And then if you have like 90 or 100 tracks, then you'll definitely be broke. And if you don't want to be sued by the major labels, of course. So I'm happy that it's being worked around, and there's a lot of people trying to overcome these challenges. And now with the big competitions, like you check out Red Bull BC1, and you actually might hear some James Brown or the Mexican being played, which is dope. And it's funny to see that it's been there for that issue has been there for so many years that people that grew up to the big competitions now can be kind of lost if they get a classic break. They've
Yeah.
been breaking to the quantized, produced, copyright-free music for so long that when there's give it up or turn it loose in the background, they'll be like, "What is this old music? I'm lost. I don't see the connection no more." Which is funny, but of course a little bit sad too. I'm happy there's the process of getting the classic tracks back being played, but of course we must remember that the big stage is not everything. There's always the underground movement that's around that really goes deeper into this stuff. You know, it is
Yeah.
goes
Nice.
deeper into records and wants to learn the dance in a cultural approach. So that's not disappearing anywhere. No matter if we're gonna be in the Olympics in the future or if we're gonna be sponsored by big companies, then the underground always lives on, and there the connection
Yeah.
remains in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, I felt a little bit lost for a while. Everybody talked about this new music. I don't know, from 2010 to 2020 is like, it doesn't give me anything, doesn't have any soul, no nothing. But then on the other hand, nowadays, also like Storm said, how fun would it be for me as a popper to go out and you have Planet Patrol or Planet Rock, and also for a b-boy you hear Apache. Okay, it's fun, it's nice, and yeah, but for a whole evening, hmm, maybe it's also not that nice to have just the old music.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I also entered another popping battle maybe a year ago, and I told the DJ, because I was a judge, that okay, for the final, play this song, and then I took up like an old ABC song from 1980,
Mm-hmm.
and they were really like, what is this? I never heard this before.
Oh.
And this is funny that nowadays they study the music so they know every single little piece of the track,
Mm-hmm.
so they can, snap not on the beat, but they can snap on the sounds.
Yeah.
And I guess it's the same in b-boying, and then it's fun to just bring out something that we used to dance to and they don't have any idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, the DJ's responsibility is huge, and like it's a whole nother journey of creating your own sound and introducing breaking new records, introducing your sound to the audience. That's why I got really lucky for being part of the Swedish events in my early days, because you guys had DJ Lazy as part of Moves Per Minute, so he would be flown out all the time. And what an freaking inspirational trip and educational is to go to dozens of jams in Sweden on a monthly basis, and Lazy is there everywhere.
Yeah.
I feel that's like, if I had to mention one thing that really shaped the way that I rock these days, is being around great DJs. First in Helsinki, being around Anonymous and Didier and these guys, then being in Sweden again with Lacey, and then later on, a few years after he passed, rest in peace, being involved with Scheme Reaches from the States and still going back to back. So we've been flying him out to anniversary events for 20 years already, and he was just there 2 weeks ago again. And like you mentioned, like, wouldn't be cool if it was just a party everywhere, but the DJ's responsibility is to dig and introduce new tracks as well, and expand the horizon of people who's listening and dancing to the music. Take people on a journey, on a musical journey, while they're at it. So it was so dope to connect with Scheme again, and was a great reminder of, it doesn't have to be a party. A party is dope, but there's so much great music in the world,
Yeah.
of all eras and all generations.
Yeah, and you need to find it and bring it out to the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So having great DJs as part of the events is one thing, but of course, as a dancer, it's your responsibility to
Mhm.
find new music to rock to and keep yourself inspired.
Yeah. You said your event 2 weeks ago, Floma anniversary, you still run it every year. I've seen it on, yeah, now we can see it
Yeah.
on social media.
Yup.
And you try to gather the whole crew, of course, but then invite people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yes,
tribute
sir.
to the crew and tribute to the whole community, I guess, in Finland.
Yeah, absolutely. Past couple of years, we've been lucky that we have had a little bit of government funding for it, so we've been able to have the event free of charge for everybody, with a nice prize money too. So it's free. All the events are free except for the workshops. And then the main event, we managed to bring out a few guests as well. So we had Scheme, Born, Nika, Torp from Norway, and a few others too, which has been amazing. And we tried to make it. Of course, we still make it a yearly event. Next year is 25 years, so it's going to be a big one. We need to start getting that funding already now this autumn, because it can't be no worse than this year's edition. This year's edition was dope. I think we
Yeah.
had one of the best anniversaries this year, and we just need to step up the level from it somehow. It's a combination of different events, not just the competition part. We have the main competition, which is solo battles, no holding back format that Mikko created, which is, if you don't know, it's a solo battle, but closer to a cypher vibe in a way that there's no round limit. As soon as a judge has a decision, they raise a flag. As soon as the 3 flags up, we have a clear decision, no tiebreakers. So any battle can go from 1 round until like 10 rounds or whatever crazy.
Wow, that's a
Also, nice
nice.
element of surprise in there as well, and an element of entertainment for the audience too. They never know what to expect, and if somebody really kills it the first round, it's like, okay, battle is over. We have a clear winner. Boom, straight to the next one.
Yeah, but that's really a nice way of having the battle.
Yeah. So that's one thing. Pre-party, we had a concrete tops and drops session outside. So I was playing all Funk 45s and on concrete, the portable ghetto sound system under a bridge, which was super ghetto but man nice. One of the favorite parts of the anniversary this year. And for the after party, we gathered the legendary Helsinki DJs, Anonymous and Didier, who I mentioned,
Yeah.
and then Scheme Riches at a music listening bar. So great vintage sound system, and they
Wow.
kept the dance floor on point the whole night. So
Yeah. You said that Nika was there. I saw that she won the female competition. Uh, that young generation, is there a good Finnish young generation also? Because she comes from a neighbor country, Latvia or
Nika
Lithuania,
is
I don't know.
from Lithuania, and she didn't win the female competition, but she won the one-on-one. She won the no holding
Ooh.
back
Uh-huh.
world
Okay.
finals now. So she went to the final against Born, and such a dope 5 round battle against different generations. So some of the rounds, Born, even he just rocked the round. He didn't touch the floor. He just stayed on top. and then you have a hungry Olympian level competitor from Lithuania, which is a dope matchup. I love both of the approaches. And your question about the new generation in Finland, I think new generation is definitely coming up and super dope. There's a whole new wave of, I would say after the Olympics, a generational wave started. That was the freestyle music video of our time. So all the countries that I traveled to is always a lot of new heads, new cats, new kids in the events these days. And same for Finland too. After the Olympics, I feel the next generation really blew up, and even like the national team and the coaching thing was going from the people of my generation to now really focusing on the next generation and the new opportunities that are coming up.
Okay, yeah, because that's, in my opinion, it's a little bit lack of that in Sweden at the moment, but we'll see. Hopefully, there will come up more younger generation. When I look at my side of the popping scene, it's a huge crowd. It's a really good energy, good level of the young generation. Also from Finland, also a lot of young, both female and male poppers from Finland.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
I think there is the next generation is living on, and it's good that it's not dying out, so to say. It's something that lives on.
Yeah.
I have some besides you, Flomo crew, was there or is there any other major Finnish crews that's been rocking and that you always have like a local competition against when there is something happening in Finland?
I wish there was more new crews. The culture has changed in a way that the crew is not really on the spotlight no more. So I always try to tell people, form your own crews. They're gonna be your catalyst. They're gonna be your posse that will push you through the hard times. But really, today's generation is not that much about crews. Everybody is about one-on-ones and the solo, the person, the personalities, and the persons on the top, the superstars. So not today's generation, not too many crews. There's a few, of course, but I wish if there was one thing that I could take from back in the days was that there could be more emphasis on the crews, and everybody would be forming crews, and it doesn't have to be a final crew, your final destination, like it happened to me too. But Flomo was the one that stuck for 24 years already. So hopefully, new generation gets more crews.
But I think that's a global thing. It's not only in Finland. I mean, it's more just solo artists and solo b-boys and solo poppers. It's not really, the crew is not the main thing.
Yeah, everything goes in waves and goes back and forth. So I see a lot of big events now coming back with the crew battles, which I really appreciate and value a lot. So shout out to all the big promoters throwing crew battles even in 2026.
Yeah. And then this I go back a little bit before we wrap this up. You've been BC1 and all these big competitions where you have been judging. Is it also like a burden that you carry that with you, that people see you at, he was the guy that put me out already there, or he was the guy who did not see me, or do you feel that you can have a or you opposite, that you actually made that guy win? You have the possibility to, like you say, you have the possibility to shape how the dance should look like.
Mm.
It
I
can
don't
also
see it
be
as a
like a
burden.
burden for you that
Some people
it's
take
a
it to the
responsibility.
heart. Things takes too much stress about it. I just see it as part of the job. But of course, if you just travel for events just to work, then it can eat out your passion sometimes. which is why I was so happy. I told you in the phone the other day that I'm going to a jam where I have no responsibilities and I'm just going to go and cipher. There was a cipher event in Helsinki last weekend, and it was thrown by Mikko and Otto, another guy from a younger crew. And I went to the event, left my phone in the car, only took my car keys, walked in and ciphered for 90 minutes. It was a 90-minute jam, so I was staying in the cipher the whole time, rocked my ass off, and I was like, I can't remember when I did this the last time. No responsibilities, no duties, and simply just making the music move me. And that felt so good. It cleansed my soul and really inspired me in a new way, and reminded me of the older events in Finland too, such as Kuopio Breaks, which was the same format, gathered everybody in the whole country and outside too, just ciphers, which shaped, of course, the way that we rock a lot. So yeah,
I think that is something that
answer
needs
can
to be
read out
done
your
more.
burden. Yeah,
That is
exactly.
something that needs to be done more. Just because I also talked to Alex Renegade about that. How is it? We were actually the generation that brought this culture almost from a dance floor, just from a cipher, from a circle, to the stage. And as soon as it comes on a stage, you always have spectators, and the spectators stand still to look. But on a dance floor, they hopefully dance. So it's good to always have both of it, because you need to have those big events with a stage and you have a winner, you have a competition, but you still need to be back where it started, that everybody's dancing. And okay, maybe once in a while it's a circle that people stand and look, but you need to have it both.
Yeah, it has to go both ways. It's dope to visit a big stage, but we always need to go back to roots where we come from. So
Beside all this, you also have a dance school.
mhm.
It's also Flomo Dance School, or
It is called Saifa Flow Mo
Sci-
Dance School. Yes,
yeah. Are you one of the founders, or are you
we
part of
founded
it?
it with four members of the crew. So it was Mercy One, Hat Solo, Mikko, and me, and that was 2010 when we founded the school. We did a big campaign with Adidas Finland, where if you buy a pair of superstars in any sports store in the country, you get a Flomo DVD on top. And then they gave us a little bit of a budget for it, of course. And we're like, okay, what do we do with the budget? Do we go to the local pub and spend it in beer, or do we actually want to start something more more sustainable? So we ended up starting the studio with the four of us. Those the people who wanted to be part of it. And then last couple of years, it's been just me and Mikko running it. Mercy One has solo moved on to other things, and yeah, so that's been going for 16 years already. Cipher
Wow.
as cipher spelled in the way that we say it in our language. So we wanted to create a spot that brings everybody to dance in one cipher, and that's where it comes from. We've been in the same location for 16 years right now. Yo.
And is it only street dance styles, or what is the direction of it?
Only street dance styles, yes. So
Okay.
no contemporary, no modern, no ballet, none of that. Let people who know about that stuff handle it for them,
Uh,
and we concentrate on different street styles. So break in, hip hop, pop, and locking house, pretty
okay.
much.
And I guess because you run it so many years, it's been quite successful. I mean, you brought up new dancers,
Yep,
uh, and
it has been a journey, roller coaster ride for sure. Cultural entrepreneurship these days has not been easy, especially during and after COVID. It's been a ride. We're
yeah.
still here. Yep. We got accepted for a government program called the how do you say it? Basic teaching of arts. So fundamental education for arts. We just got accepted to be a facility that teaches arts 2 years ago, which means that we are being recognized after 15, 16 years of hard work. as an arts institution, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, it
It
is
is for sure,
culture
and
at the
not
finest.
too many
Yeah.
schools have lasted that long and
This
done the work we
this
have.
journey, more than, yeah. I mean, you're more than 40, but the journey 30 years. Um, what does your family think of it? Well, it's not a regular job.
It's definitely not a regular job. Yes,
When do you grow up?
I won't. I guess I believe. So luckily, I've been able to live off from the passion for a long time and want to keep it that way. I also run the online education platform B-Boy and Bigger Dojo, and mostly I work from home. To be honest, like at my home now, I have a separate office where I'm at right now. I can train over here. I can work over here, and I live 1.5 hours from Helsinki, so I go maybe once or twice in a week, once in 2 weeks, something like this, to clean up sci-fi and work at the reception sometimes and handle business. But mostly anything can be done remote. So as a professional dancer, I'm mostly working at the laptop. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes.
uh, that's that's not only as a dancer, it's all jobs. It's
Pretty much.
pretty
Yeah.
much. So, and you think you are fortunate to really live from it? I guess it's not many in Finland who can do it, and in Sweden also very few.
Mm.
But
Yeah, it's been a trip. Like I never thought of it becoming my job before I finally realized like I'm teaching a little bit, so maybe I don't have to do anything else. And that stuck with me for over 20 years now.
mm,
Um, I think I'm super fortunate. Yeah, I'm doing a job that I love. Like how can you not say that? It's a fortunate situation to be at. It's not a steady job though. Like there's a lot of stress involved, and your paycheck is never certain in a way. So you know how grass is always greener on the other side. You think like maybe I had a 9 to 5 job, I would get a steady paycheck and had no stress after 4 p.m. But then again, like being able to live off from the passion and really to dance for a living is wow. This is a dream come
mm,
true for me. And
yeah,
very difficult to imagine that I'm still living off this as a person who's 43 in a few years, in a few
yeah,
weeks.
yeah. But I guess you, like you said, you do your um, internet sessions. You also travel to do workshops. You travel to do different things for judging and such. So there is always opportunities, but yeah, it's, I guess it's still hard. Now you're also DJing, I've
Mhm.
seen. So maybe that's also part-time job sometimes.
Most dreams make up a river, you know it is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, if you want to make something into your lifestyle, then of course you need to make it yourself. And if you start to make events, then most of the time you're working with the budget, and there's no budget to hire a DJ or fly somebody out. So you need to do it, and we
Yeah.
got to host, and you know it is. But I'll be happy to be DJing. I ran a radio show in Finland too for 5 years called Flomo Sounds,
Mm.
and every time I travel, I go digging, and the new records that I brought with me was dope to let people hear them on the national radio. It was so nice. Then like getting the opportunity to play them for new generation as well. I think it's a way to educate them as well. Like you bring in a classic break beat like Love to the World, for example, that I
Yeah.
heard Lazy play the first time. They might have never heard it, but then it's like my way of tributing my masters and people who inspired me.
Yeah.
So it's a journey as well. And I guess our generation needs to keep up carrying tradition too. Like if we
Yeah.
stop, then the new generation might not have the link to what happened in the past, and then it might develop into a crazy direction. So it's
Yeah.
important that we're still involved.
To wrap it up, I have a question. maybe you did not see it because I sent it to you, but maybe there is like some funny or crazy anecdote that happened to you during all these years that this man, this is something I need to tell people or that.
Hmm. Hmm. Hard to say. So many things. I would say I need to take it back to Sweden. Maybe it even was the Scandinavian Superjam in Stockholm. You flew the crew out at one point, and there was vagabonds from France that year that took part. Boss K, Carmel, I was really feeling his style. I think his foundational approach was dope already back then. And we got to rock a cipher one day in the pre-party or the day before the main event. And then music was dope. I do my thing. Boss K comes in right after me in the cipher, finishes towards me, and kind of calls me out. I didn't respond. I froze. And I decided for myself, I go back to the hotel. I'm like, damn, I look up to this dancer and he called me out and I froze. I couldn't go. This will never happen again.
No.
So that never happened again ever since. And that led me to battle most of the people that I looked up to during the trips. So from the moment of freezing in Stockholm and not stepping out to a battle, it led to a lot of other things eventually. And I
Yeah, but
decided for myself,
that's
promise
the
for myself,
start.
this will never
Yeah.
happen again. So thank you, Andreas, for making it happen with the event too, and find this out.
Yeah, there is always something in the back. You never know what's, you know. That's interesting to hear such things.
Dope.
And,
And I'm proud of your work, man. I'm happy that you're doing the blog and still being involved with the culture. Like first time you guys came to Helsinki to teach, maybe 2000
yeah,
was the
me and
first international.
Freeze,
You,
Elvis maybe
Freeze,
also.
and Elvis came,
Yeah.
and that was the first international teachers I ever got to experience. And ever since then, we're still connecting 26 years later over here with
Yeah.
these platforms and all the events in the past. So I'm proud of your work and I'm happy that you're still involved. Big
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I do my best.
Hell yeah.
I just want to practice more. I want to train, so I maybe not taking part of a competition, but at least to represent when I'm on the dance floor.
Exactly. Yeah, the journey as a dancer never stops, no matter the age. We're just
No.
getting started.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Jussi.
Oh, dope talk.
And
Thank you so much. Almost 2 hours. We did our thing. Looking
yes,
forward to seeing the final interview.
yes. Thanks a lot.